Welcome. Now here we have a 4 by 5 matrix that we have been asked to use the dominance property to find the optimum strategy for each player and the value of the game. Now, from our understanding, it is not that convenient to use a matrix that is more than 2 rows and more than 2 columns. And for that matter, we are supposed to reduce the size of this payoff matrix to be a 2 by 2 matrix, and we are going to apply the dominance rule. And the first rule states that rows are dominated when it is lesser or greater than the corresponding rows. So we are going to look for the lesser rows in that matter. What about the column? Columns are dominated if they are greater than or equal to the corresponding columns. So we are going to compare one column with the other one. If it is greater than or equal, then that column is dominated. In other words, the rule for the columns is the opposite to the rules for the rows. Then this is now the hint that is going to guide us all through. The dominated rows and columns are deleted to reduce the payoff matrix. So these are we are going to check on the rows which are lesser. So we are simply going to copy paste this particular payoff matrix. So we have 4, 6, 5, 10, 6, 7, 8, 5, 9, 10. We have 8, 9, 11, 10, 9. Lastly, we have 6, 4, 10, 6, 4 again. So we have the original matrix here. We have player A and player B. So the first step is to get the total on each row and also the total on each column. Okay. So the first thing you're going to do is C4 plus, this is 10 plus 21 is 31. We have 15 plus 24 is 15 plus 24. 15 plus 24 is supposed to be 39. Then we have 20 plus 18, 27. That is 47. We have 10, 20 plus 10, that is 30. We've done that. Then also find the total. Now, after doing that, we are now supposed to use this rule. The rows are dominated when it is lesser or equal to the corresponding rows. And those lesser rows are going to be deleted depending on the last comment or the last hint here. So from these totals here, our order is going to be order 1. We go to 2, 3, 4. And this is how to do it. When we take this last row, row 4, we check each element here if they are lesser than any other element in the other rows. Like 6 is less than this, 4 is less than 9, 10 is less than this, 6 is less than this one, this is less than 9. So it means this row is going to be deleted. The next step, we go to the next lesser value, which is 31. We compare it with the corresponding rows. Like in this case, we have 4 lesser than 7, yes. Less than 8, yes. Less than or equal, that is correct. Greater than, no. So it means this row is not dominated by this one. So we compare the first row with the third one. 4 less than 8, yes. 6 less than 9, yes. Less than 11, yes. 10 equal to 10, yes. Less than this one, yes. So it is this row is dominated by the third row. So we are going to delete that row. And then the next formation that we're going to have for the payoff matrix is 7, 8, 5, 9, 10. 8, 9, 11, 10, 9. So we still have A and B. Then now, when we have this one now, we look for the total of the columns. So in this case, we have, this is 15, this is 17, this is 16, we have 19 and 19. And then we say a column is dominated if it is greater than or equal to the corresponding columns, which is the opposite of the rows. Now in this case, we are talking about we start with the first greater values. You can start with 1, 2, third one is this one, you go to 4, and then you go to number 5. So we start with the first one, we compare with the other one. 10 is bigger than this one. Yes, 10 is bigger than is less than this one. So it means this row is not dominated by, this column is not dominated by this column here. So we compare this one with this one here. It is bigger than this one. Yes. This one is less. No. So we go to the next one. Bigger than this one. Yes. Bigger than or equal to. Yes. So it means this row is dominated by this column here. Then we go to the next column, which is 2. Number 2. 9 greater than 5, yes. 10, no. 9 bigger than 8, yes. 10 bigger than 9, yes. So this row is not there. Then we go to the next values. We compare now number 3. We go to 3, the next bigger value, 17. 8 bigger than 7, yes. 9 bigger than 8, yes. So this row is dominated. Remember, we delete the dominated column. So our next matrix, which is simplified, is supposed to be 7, 5, 8, 11. Now, when we have this particular problem, it now becomes very easy to handle. Like now, we are going to test for the saddle point. Let us have it here. We are going to test for the saddle point, 8, 11. We have A and B. When you are testing for the saddle point, we normally look for the row minimum, and the column maximum. So row minimum here, we have the smallest value here is 5, smallest value here is 8. Okay, then you look for the greatest among the minimum, which becomes 8, which is the maximum. Maximum means the maximum of the minimum. Then you look for the maximum around this one. This one will be 8 and 11. But now, for this column, we look for the minimum of the maximum. In this case, we have 8. It becomes the minimax. That is the minimum of the maximum. Now, because this payoff matrix, the maximum is equal to minimax. In other words, 8 is equal to 8 for this one. It means there is a saddle point. It has a saddle point. And the saddle point is the point of intersection of the maximum row, this one, and the point of intersection of the minimax column. So it is this value here. Okay. Now that value becomes the cell location. That is the saddle point. So the value of the game is located on that saddle point. So the value of the game is supposed to be, now we compare where? We now compare this one with the original payoff matrix. This one is now found in which column? It is found in row 3. 1, 2, 3. It is row 3. What about the column? column 1, and the value is 8. But we are told to find the optimum strategy for each player. So each player is going to play a strategy that is found within that particular value of game. Like strategy for A, optimum strategy for A. Optimum strategy for each player is supposed to be the location of the saddle point. So for player A, he's supposed to play 1, 2, 3. He's supposed to play the third row. And of course, you have 4 rows. So he's supposed to play the third row. Of course, the other rows will be 0. Then for player A, that is the third row, row 3, in other words. Then player B is supposed to play the first column. First column, of course, the other columns will be the 0, and they have 5 columns, that particular scenario, and we give it column 1.